Today I have my top 5 prehab drills to keep your hips durable throughout the season. Several years ago, I got a very harsh email in response to a harsh truth that I told. And here's what the harsh truth was.
You can't handle the truth.
That one of the easiest ways to lose your spot on the team or your spot in the pecking order is to be injured, to not be on the ice getting better day after day, to not be with your teammates, to not be getting game action where you can prove your abilities to the team, to putting a little bit of doubt into maybe your coach's minds, is this goalie a little bit fragile? And yeah, it's not nice to hear, especially if right now you're sitting at home with a torn groin and you're like, great, thanks a lot, Maria. Thanks for the pep talk. I appreciate it. I'm not saying it means you will lose your spot on the team. I'm just saying it opens the door for somebody else to take advantage of the opportunity. As I shoot this video, Matt Murray is out for the Leafs. Ilya Samsonov has stepped in and done an incredible job. He's delivered consistent goaltending game after game. It's going to make it that much harder when Matt Murray comes back. Doesn't mean he won't come back. Doesn't mean he won't step up to the starter's role, but now he has to earn it again. So today I am giving you my top 5 prehab exercises, which are really just exercises to help reduce your risk of injury. Let's keep you on the ice and out of the stands. If you've followed me for any time at all, I'm gonna predict that you have seen me use this exercise, but I just simply love it. I think it's a great one to keep your hips feeling healthy and happy. So it's an inline traction. I have a relatively strong Superband, probably an inch or an inch and a half in length, and I've just put my heel in there, put my heel in that little cup, and then I crisscross over my forefoot. Then I'm gonna come back to put some tension on that band, and now I'm just gonna lie down and love life. And I'll try to actively relax the muscles around my hip. I don't need it to be like so much tension it's ripping my leg off. I just want it to give me some nice traction. So I'll just relax those muscles and let that traction create a little bit of space in the joint. Maybe the head of my femur's jammed a little to the front or the back, and this just helps sort of center it again back in the joint. And I'm just gonna love life for 60 seconds, and then I'll switch to the other side. I'm going to stick with the Superband, and again, a pretty strong one, and bring that right up inside, sort of high up on my groin. And I'm gonna get a little bit of lateral distraction. I might even angle myself away, so this would be called posterolateral distraction. So a little bit backwards, posterior, and a little bit lateral, posterolateral, man, that's hard to say, distraction. But then I'm going to get some distraction there. So again, just trying to create a little space in the joint, but I'm going to move my hips, and I'm also, you can see that I'm going to internal rotation with my hip and external rotation with my hip. So I'm just going to kind of go through those movement patterns, creating a little space in the joint. And I'll go for about 60 seconds on each side again, and really just finding, hey, what feels good? But make sure you get some movement of your pelvis, but also get some movement, internal and external rotation at the hip joint. I'm going to cheat a little bit for the third exercise because it's sort of 3 exercises, but I'm going to just call it a lacrosse ball on the hip rotator cuff, which there sort of isn't really such a thing, although there is, because it's sort of muscles that surround the hip joint. And these are really more the big superficial muscles, not the deep muscles that really would stabilize. But I digress. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to get that lacrosse ball on your hip flexor, and we're not going to be too crazy about the positioning of it. We're just going to get in the front of the hip and work that around. We'll do about 30 seconds on that. Then we're gonna come around to the TFL, which is sort of at the side of the hip. And it's actually quite a broad muscle, but you're gonna get in above that bony prominence on the outside of your hip joint. And it's pretty tender, so you might just want to sit and hang out on that for 30 seconds, or you can even come up into sort of the top border of your pelvis. And then you're going to come around and you're going to get your upper glutes. So you're leaning back and you're getting that top portion of your glutes, not the bit that you kind of sit on typically. So I'm trying to get this portion up in here. So 30 seconds for each of those. And before we go any further, I want to be super clear that we cannot eliminate all injuries. Even if you do all the exact right off-ice training, everything right on the ice, sometimes injuries still happen. Most of us will or have been injured at one time or another. So I'll give you a tip, and it's one of the best ways to really stay involved with the team to help you feel better, because it feels kind of isolating when you're away from your team, but also to show your teammates and your coaches, hey, I'm still invested in this team. I'm doing everything I can to get back, but I'm still going to support the heck out of you while I'm on the IR. So, going to as many practices as you can, going to games for sure, and being the loudest cheerer there. Maybe not from the stands, but in the dressing room, supporting guys, helping guys. What do you need? How can you help the team do better? That way you stay involved. It sort of fuels your sense of being on the team. But like I said, it also shows your teammates and your coaches how invested you are in their success. And it helps them really cheer for you and want to see the best for you and give you opportunities when the time does come for you to return. On to our next prehab exercise, and it's just a nice half groin rock back. It's another one of my favorites. So I'm just in a real comfortable medium stretch here, not as much stretch as I can do. I'm going to rock back with my hips without rounding my lower back, so I'm trying not to round my lower back. And I'll feel that stretch get a little deeper, and it moves a little bit as well. I'm going to hold this position for 10 seconds. Then I'll just come out of it, back in, hold for 10 seconds. I'll do 5 repetitions on each side. The last one is going to be from our FRC training, our functional range conditioning training. And it is just hip controlled articular rotations, hip cars. You're going to stand, you can hold on to the squat rack or the wall or anything you need for balance, but you're going to create tension through your whole body. And you're going to keep your torso nice and stable, so I'm not going to lean forward and move my body around. I really want this movement to just be at my hip. I'm going to create tension in my hip joint so that I'm moving against some resistance as I go around. I'm just going to do 2 in each direction on each leg. So 2 clockwise and 2 counterclockwise. This is important. Some of you, if you have a little bit of hip impingement, and don't panic, it doesn't mean you need surgery or anything. We all have varying degrees of, what our hip structure, hip shape is. But if you're getting pain or a pinch when you come in here, then just cut that range of motion a little bit short. Don't get into that painful position. Stay out of it, but still, you can still do all the other work on the range of motion. And so that helps you build some mobility, and it helps strengthen those muscles that control the ball and socket joint. 2 repetitions in each direction, each leg. And it should be slow. And you should be working for it. If you're like, oh yeah, this is easy, hip circles, that's not it. It's something different. And if you're not sure, like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do for FRC or cars, you can check out this video I did that kind of explains the basic principles. And that brings us to the end of this 5-part in-season video series. So video number 1 was in-season flexibility and mobility routine. Video number 2 was an in-season strength workout. Video number 3 was in-season stamina workout. Video number 4 was in-season speed workout. We wrapped it up with prehab so that you get to stay on the ice and get to stay involved with your team, so you're maximizing your development as the season goes on. I'll drop a link to all those videos in the description below. If you missed any of them, make sure you go check them out. If you need a little more in-depth or a little more work on your hip mobility so that you kind of those hips feel loosey-goosey and you get a wider butterfly flare, then check out the free butterfly challenge. Again, the link is in the description, or just go to your app store and search butterfly challenge. It is free, so go grab that. If you got any value out of today's video or any of the other 4 videos that I've done in this in-season sequence, please do me a favor and hit a like, because it helps other motivated goalies like you find their way to this content, and it just makes me feel good. If you are a goalie coach, share this series with your goalies so that they think you're really smart and you're giving them the exact kind of training that they need during the season to gain momentum, so that makes you look good, and I guarantee it's better than the stuff that you used to do 20 years ago in college. I will catch you next week, same bad time, same bad channel.